The man just played 10,000 at will, but the old man on the opposite side was confused. After opening the card, it was found that it was a single drop of 10,000, which scared the man to sweat. You know, he is obviously an ideal waste wine, but he deliberately knocked out 40,000 yuan to get rid of 10,000 yuan. Obviously, his thoughts have been seen through by the other party. Next, the male villagers began to become suspicious. He can obviously play 90,000 yuan to draw, but in order to prevent the opponent from firing cannons, he decisively took it apart, and the west wind blew it out. At this point, the male fragrance has been completely controlled. When I came back to my senses, I found that I only had 2,000 points left. However, the gears of fate suddenly reversed. Upper family seems to be very compassionate, and one person is rich. Let him touch it properly, before he can catch his breath. This guy then went on to make a 7 cakes. Now, Nangxiang is determined to die. A counter-offensive is being carried out at the fastest speed. When he stared at the card again, the hand turned out to be a miraculous draw. For a moment, Nanxiang was dumbfounded again. The hard-won sunlight was once again shrouded in dark clouds. Judging from the card pool of the 3 people, the 4 cards in their hands can be fired. Now the only hope is to be able to touch Nangxiang's heart and pray desperately. It is like asking to shake hands with the goddess of victory. However, heaven does not comply with people's wishes. What he finally held was the hand of death. The whiteboard red is what the older man at home wants. 3, 4, and 5 handles are what the lower and upper families want. That is, Nangxiang now has to fire a cannon on any card. What is the difference between this and committing suicide by jumping off a building? Just when he was desperate, there was a familiar sound of footsteps outside the door. The moment the door opens, it turned out to be Akagi, Omikami. Nanxiang was overjoyed and gave up his position. Akagi saw that there were only 2,000 points left in the chips. He also felt very speechless towards Nanxiang. After a few rounds of mahjong, he was defeated. This kind of exclusion is not as good as the dog next door. Then picked up the red Zhong Nangxiang inside. Just as he was about to explain the situation, Akagi immediately told him to shut up.
Be sure to pass.
I didn't expect Akagi to hit the west wind. This scene stunned Nangxiang and the police. Could it be that they were stunned? This guy will also change the lineup, but when he sees the red bell above the west wind, it must have been when he threw the red bell and quickly pressed the west wind down. In this way, not only will the unwanted red clock be disposed of, it also successfully avoided the crisis of firing artillery. Under this kind of big scene, there are 2 behind-the-con artists. Man has been completely overwhelmed by his courage. This kind of courage to die and then live is the lucky opportunity. Like your magnet. Right? Next is the summary and analysis of this episode. Nanxiang actually lost from the beginning. He has been guarding against his opponents and neglecting to play mahjong. The real meaning is to overcalculate in the duel of masters. Instead, it will expose your intentions. The real strategy is hidden invisible. Once predicted by the other party, his own coup has become a flaw in his life. Akagi is facing a situation where the platoon is bound to die. He didn't panic. Instead, he calmed down. This act, it seems risky. In fact, it grasped the key in a desperate situation with no way out. Only by breaking the rules can you survive. His courage is not recklessness, but an accurate judgment of the situation. Anyway, if you hit anyone, it is better to use fraudulent means. There is a way out of nothing. The boy obviously picked up a red clock. After playing, it turned into a west wind just because he lost his card. The red bell was pressed on top of the west wind. This gives the illusion of playing the west wind. Fortunately, the old man on the opposite side was blind. I didn't notice Akagi's small movements at all. And after the rest of his life, it is the strong rhyme of Akagi. After touching the whiteboard, he successfully touched the stick and returned to 16,000 points. All of a sudden, these early 2 cards being added up and down, becoming more and more cautious. I was afraid that I would accidentally fire a cannon on Akagi. But this psychology makes it easier for Akagi to catch. He first created the illusion of a broken waist 9-hu card, lure the other party into taking the bait. Next, Akagi's fortune was in full swing, and he was like a bamboo shoot at the table. After 3 consecutive moves, he quickly drew the cards, which made him sweat up and down. Judging from the card, Akagi is a deck suitable for self-touching, but to be on the safe side, they would rather take apart the pair or the 3-bank ram.
As you can see, it is a good product.
Unexpectedly, all this was expected by Akagi, this battle alone. His points skyrocketed to 46,900 points, and he fell one after another as he added up and down. In the end, only the old man was left in front of him. Akagi didn't say a word, and directly launched an offensive. I saw him play 3 cakes in a row, and this scene instantly made everyone dumbfounded. They didn't understand what this kid was doing. Only the old man sitting opposite saw through the mystery, and in the next second, he also took advantage of the situation to dismantle a pair. It turned out that both of them thought that it was difficult to attack each other with ordinary play. then play one of the 3 cards, that is killed. Sichuan Mahjong lacked a door, and both sides knocked each other out. If you make a card, when you are close to the draw, it must be one of the 2 remaining cards. This formed a duel to protect the muscles. Suddenly, Akagi took out a 2 cake from the middle of the card. When the underworld brain saw this, he was immediately shocked. Obviously, both sides are missing a goal. Why did this guy's second cake come out? In that instant, a spiritual light exploded from his mind. It turned out that this kid Akagi still left a hand, and was missing a door. It was originally a way of playing to clear one of them. This made others think that the color would never fire. But Akagi took advantage of this rule, and secretly kept one. When the draw is made, there is a great probability of being fired, and the old man also guessed Akagi's methods. When I saw that he had just played the second handle, he decisively played a safety card.
8,600 in one dry 3 horses.
This scene once again made the black boss look stupid. This guy actually left more than one hand. After giving up the monotony of the 2 cakes, Akagi hit another cake. Such bottomless surrender and calculation are like the devil. Although Akagi won the first game at the beginning, his unpredictable style of play was unpredictable. After all, there is still no traditional style of play that is stable as the old man. When he was missing a door, not only is it limited to firing cannons, but sometimes it can be easily touched. So it is also a lack of a style of play, Akagi who likes to change. On the contrary, there is no solid and steady old man to win more. Gradually, there was a clear gap between the 2 sides.
Q1.
The following is a summary and analysis of this episode. Akagi represents the aggressive and changeable speculative player. He is good at taking advantage of his opponent's fear and inertial thinking, even reverse use of the lack of a rule to create traps. So sometimes the real game breakers are often good at finding gaps in the shadow of rules. And the older man represents the value of following the law. He gradually widened the gap by relying on a solid lack of skills. It also implies that opportunism may win the battle, but the stable enforcement of the rules can win the war. However, Akagi as a real strong man, definitely not be held back by the mood swings of your opponent. Let's see how he turns defeat into victory.